Hey everybody, I'm finally here with my, as you can tell by my shirt with the bat symbol, I'm finally here for my Dark Knight Rises movie review. So I finally got some friends together. I saw the film. It's the final chapter of Christopher Nolan's Batman Trilogy. So let's get going because I have quite a bit of things to cover about this film. And I'm going to try to cover this film without spoiling anything. So for the most part, this is going to be a non-spoiler review. So if you haven't seen the film, don't worry. I'm not going to ruin the twists for you. I am going to mention, things that I liked and didn't like about it, but I'm going to tell it in a non-spoiler fashion. So once again, it's a non-spoiler review, so don't worry if you haven't seen the film yet. So I guess the kind of the brief synopsis of this film, you guys. Bruce Wayne. It's been 8 years since his controversy with Harvey Dent at the end of Dark Knight. Um, Bruce Wayne hasn't really been doing anything. He's older now. He walks with a cane due to that fall that he had from the Dark Knight. Um, he has facial hair now, and Wayne Enterprises is actually being ran by a woman named by Miranda Tate, played by Marion Cotillard. She's very close with Bruce Wayne. They always get along. They know exactly what they want with the business. Um, and also another reason why kind of Bruce Wayne's been kind of hiding away from everybody is simply because uh, Alfred's worry about him, played by Michael Caine. He just doesn't want him to get hurt again. He knew all the things that Joker and Harvey Dent did to him 8 years ago. So that's another reason why he's been kind of hiding away. He just doesn't want to get hurt again. It was just such a big thing he had to deal with all those years ago. Um, but it's not until a figure by the name of Bane appears into the city, um, as well as a woman by the name of Catwoman, who's played by Anne Hathaway, who's also known as Selena Kyle. Won't get into detail as exactly who she is, because, like I said, this is a non-spoiler review. And same with Bane, I won't exactly get into detail of who he is either. Um, but Catwoman's kind of the person that lets Bruce Wayne know, if you've seen the trailers, kind of that, there's a storm coming, Mr. Wayne, you got to prepare for it, because as soon as it ends, you're all going to wonder why he lived so large and left so little for the rest of us. So kind of warning him, like, hey, something's big's going to happen. You better get your butt moving and get that Batman suit on, because there's going to be trouble here soon. Um, so as soon as Bane arrives in the city, and like I said, because this is a non-spoiler review, I won't get into details. But as soon as he gets there, he pretty much brings a national emergency with him. It's a huge deal of what Bane does. Um, so throughout the rest of the film, Bruce Wayne has to figure out, who do I tell? What do I do? Um, how do I take on this big muscular guy that I'm nowhere near physically able to beat? How am I gonna, be able to beat this guy with all these fuses and bombs and explosions all over the place? So Bruce Wayne's in a mess, and after 8 years of not doing anything, well, it's kind of hurting him now because he's not physically fit like he once was. He had to walk with a cane for all these years, so he's not used to walking around without it. So Bruce Wayne has to get used to something again that he hasn't been doing for a while. So I think storyline wise, that's about as much as I want to cover because there's so many positives and negatives I want to cover with the movie too. So first of all, guys, Anne Hathaway was an excellent Catwoman. If you're really looking for a new approach to Catwoman, I think you're going to be very happy because Anne Hathaway adds a lot of character to the role. I was just very happy by the way she portrayed it. She definitely had like a cat-like characteristics to her. Like even when she was just Selena Kyle and not even in the Catwoman outfit, you got the impression that you were looking at Catwoman and not Anne Hathaway, and that's always a good thing. I like to watch a film where I'm watching characters, not actors or actresses playing characters. They're actually the characters. So Anne Hathaway fit the role perfectly. You're all going to be happy with that. Um, Once again, because it's a non-spoiler review, I won't tell you what the ending is. But for the most part, I was pretty happy with the film's ending. It was kind of along the line of the traditional Nolan film where he gives you enough information so people can say one of two directions. Kind of like what happened with Inception for those who've seen that Christopher Nolan film as well. Um, and it's one of those things where it's one of those feelings where you're going to be happy leaving the theater. I guess that's about as much as I can say without me ruining it. So I guess that's a good thing because you're going to leave the theater happy. It's a good ending. Um, I kind of already just explained this, but like I said, Nolan's trend of open endings, open-minded endings are still happening with this movie. So very good job with that. Um, Great action scenes as usual. I mean, if you love the action scenes for Batman Begins and Dark Knight, you're going to be happy with this one. Also, there's a lot of really intense moments in here. Like you're going to be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe that's happening," or "Oh my god, I can't believe that guy, is in so much pain. I can't believe that it's so intense right now," and all that stuff. So a lot of really neat intensity feelings going on. You really feel like these huge things are going on in Bruce Wayne's life, and it gets really intense throughout this movie. So I think everybody's going to be really happy with that too. Um, I loved the dangerous presence of Bane. I liked whenever the guy approached either Bruce Wayne or Catwoman or Commissioner Gordon. You got the impression that this guy had power. I mean, he really. For those who watch the Flick Pick channel with John, he kind of perfectly explained it. He's one of those guys where um, the minute you approach, you're like, oh my God, who is this guy? I want to get away. I want to run out of the room. I'm going to run as far away from this guy as possible. I mean, I can't be around this guy. He's going to beat me to death. So Bane he really got the impression that he was this really big, powerful guy. So huge thumbs up for Tom Hardy for doing that. The Batwing in this I thought was really cool. I thought it was handled appropriately. They just called it the Bat in this movie. Um, it felt appropriate for a Nolan film. And I guess when I first heard that they were going to use the Batwing in this, it really was handled appropriately, I must say. Marion Cotillard and Joseph Gordon-Levitt did a perfect job with this. I won't get into detail with them actually, simply because both characters have a huge twist in this film that I don't want to give away. But acting-wise, both of them are great. I just loved watching them on the screen. They really fit in this final chapter of the Nolan universe very well. Um, so yeah, a lot of just great things that happen with acting-wise, you guys. I mean, Christian Bale was great again. Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman was great as Lucius Fox again. So acting-wise, I think everybody's going to be happy with this film. As far as the negatives go, you guys, I had this problem, and the people I saw the film with also had this problem. Um, Bane was very hard to understand. He was fine, for the plane hijacking scene. If you actually saw the Dark Knight Rises prologue back in MI4, even online, you'll actually notice that his voice actually was changed specifically for that plane hijacking scene. But that was really the only scene where I could really say that they really went back and ramped up the voice so you could really hear what he was trying to say. All the other scenes, it just really felt like, they didn't spend a lot of time making sure his voice was clear enough that you can understand him. So I really wish they improved that before they released the film. I knew this going into the film because it was mentioned, I think, on Entertainment Tonight at one point that Joker was not going to be mentioned in the film at all. Like, they don't even talk about him at all. No flashbacks or anything whatsoever of the Joker in this movie. And, I think they should have at least said, like maybe he died in Arkham Asylum, or maybe he, was put in maximum security and they couldn't get him out, or, something along that line I think would have been kind of interesting if they just mentioned him because he was such an important character in Dark Knight, and I think they should have just not left it unfinished like that. You know what I mean? It felt like just at least give the guy the credit. I mean, he was the Dark Knight. He made the Dark Knight as big as it was. So I really wish they could have done something Joker related with this. Overall, guys, I gotta say, I really think that Heath Ledger's Joker is the best villain in the series. So if Nolan wanted me to get the impression that Bane was better than Joker, acting wise and villainous wise, I just couldn't say yes. I mean, I really think Heath Ledger's Joker was the best villain in this trilogy, and it's just one of the best acting performances we had in a long time. Um, yeah, I really couldn't say there was enough about Bane to make me say I liked him more than Joker. So unfortunately, thumbs down for that. Um, I left the theater with some unanswered questions, and I don't know whether to say there really were some unanswered questions, or maybe it's just the fact that I need to give the film a second viewing because there's just so much material covered in this film. Um, so, there was some questions I had throughout the movie, and I really can't say them because it would spoil the movie. But I'm certain most of you are going to feel the same way. There were just some questions in here that you're really going to feel like you didn't get enough answers about. So I really wish Nolan would have answered those for us. There was a confusing stock market scene in here too. It was almost like they wanted to repeat the Wall Street crash some way in this movie, and it's like they kind of gave up on it like 5 minutes after starting it. It's just like if you're really going to go through the trouble of doing that, at least finish it, you know. Um, Also, there was a setup for an action scene after that movie, no, after that scene, and it was really how they set up for that scene was very hokey. The actual action scene itself was fine, but how they set it up after that Wall Street crash scene was very corny. Um, so I wish they could have improved upon that. Um, there was also some unnecessary characters in this film. For those who are wondering who the mysterious girl was, or the character played by Juno Temple, if you saw the cast online, her character really was not necessary in this. I mean, she didn't do anything in this movie. You see her with Catwoman. I mean, I think she lives with her or something like that, and there was no point for her to be in this movie. I mean, I think the script could have been better actually without her. I mean, it was just one of those things like, who are you? I mean, what are you doing standing over there? Why are you even in this movie? It was kind of that kind of a feeling. So I really wish if Nolan wanted to have this mysterious girl in the film, at least give her something to do. Give her a reason why she's with Catwoman. Is she a sidekick? Is she a thief? What does this mysterious girl do? I mean, why is she in the movie? Um, there were unfortunately, some predictable twists. It was one of those things where you're like, Nolan's like, oh yeah, I'm not going to do that, and oh, I'm not going to do this too, and oh yeah, that twist, nope, not going to do it. Um, there actually were some. If you really do some research online before this film, I think you're gonna find out the twists because I unfortunately did before seeing the movie, and it wasn't because somebody saw it. I mean, it was just guesses. Um, so I wish Nolan could have came up with some even more clever twists than what he did. So I wish he could have done something more with that. Um, and also, this film just didn't seem as realistically clever as Dark Knight. I mean, people thought that Dark Knight has some really clever political undertones with it. Like it had like kind of like a 9/11 feeling in some ways. And it just this film, even though there was like a national emergency feeling to it, it just didn't have that realistically clever feeling that Dark Knight had. So overall, guys, I give The Dark Knight Rises a 9 out of 10. It is an excellent film. If you like Batman and Christopher Nolan, you're definitely going to love this film, and make sure you check it out. Um, so 9 out of 10 for me, guys. There were some flaws about it, just letting you know. But I would highly recommend the film. Make sure you see The Dark Knight Rises this summer.